Moses Sandy. I am the co-host of the Issues Room, and it is pleasing to be here this evening. Wherever you are, I want to welcome all of you. Today is actually the 129th edition of the Issues Room. My co-host, Fokano Shelton, is currently away, and so tonight we're going to have a solo discussion. And I also like for every one of you, wherever you are, to be a part of this discussion. This is very, very critical. Tonight, it's not about politics, but the topic has some relationship with politics. We're going to be discussing mental health with particular focus on clinical depression. What does it mean to be depressed? How depression impacts the life of people. That's the issue that we're going to be talking about today. And our inability as a country to help individuals who are depressed. How does that, you know, what risks does that pose to the 2023 election? It's one of the discussions that we're going to be having tonight. In Liberia, we hear sometimes our people say they are stressed, they are depressed. In the typical Liberian parlance, we say broken heart. Oh, my man is frustrated. But what does it mean to be depressed? Let me draw some clear distinction here first. But before diving into that, some of you may be wondering what Moses saying is a career journalist. So, what makes him feel that he has an authority on mental health? Well, that's a self disclosure that I want to make tonight. Besides being a career broadcast journalist, I'm also a career mental health specialist. I'm a career clinical social worker. I have more than 17 years working experience in mental health. I'm a graduate at Temple University, one of the most prestigious universities in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I have worked in various aspects at both managerial and hands-on level. So I know the subject matter. This is what I do for a living. This is what I do to pay my bills. Okay. So tonight, let's look at mental health. When we speak of mental health, what are we talking about? We're speaking about psychological problem. When people are stressed, when people find it difficult to function as a result of a psychological problem, it's mental health. We have two types of health. We have what they call physical health and mental health. Physical health is when someone struggles with headache, someone struggles with cancer, someone struggles with diabetes, and the person goes to see a primary medical doctor to help address that. When someone is finding it difficult to concentrate because of marital problem, when someone is finding it difficult to get along with other people because of he or she is being bullied at work or in the community, is being called terrible names, the person is stressed out, the person cannot concentrate, the person disengages from everything, that person is struggling with what we call mental health. So that's why in mental health, we treat what they call disorder, mean disturbance, psychological disturbance. And medical doctors treat what? Diseases. So I wanted to clear the distinction for you because there are a lot of us who have a limited or no understanding of what mental health is, especially for us in Liberia. When they say someone is psychologically stressed, the first thing that comes to our mind is insanity. That is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a psychological problem that will make it difficult for you to interact, for you to engage, for you to function, for you to eat well. That's what I'm talking about tonight. Our focus tonight is on clinical depression. When I say clinical depression, what does that mean? It means that the person has struggled with psychological problem. The psychological problem has impaired the person's ability to get along with other people for more than 6 months. When that happens to you, you cannot get adequate sleep. You're losing weight, but you don't know why you're losing weight. You can't go to bed. You're always angry. And people say he's irritable. He doesn't get along with people. You pay little or no attention to your personal hygiene. You your behavior or these issues you are dealing with become symptomatic of what we call depression. It means you are stressed. And what I'm talking about tonight is very prevalent in our community. Everywhere you go, we find people struggling with this problem. It is good that we're having the discussion tonight because we need to help our people who have these problems. In the brain, that's what we call serotonin. What does that mean? It means it is a chemical in the brain that regulates your mood, your happiness, and your sadness. So when that chemical decreases, that leads to what we call clinical depression. And for someone to be diagnosed with depression, it means the person must have had this problem for more than 6 months. And it's not that you came from work, you met your wife, on the phone with another gentleman, you got upset, and now you're telling people, oh, I am depressed. If it's something that happened and you resolve it quickly, that's not enough for you to be diagnosed with depression. Now, the question that comes, who diagnoses someone with depression? For an individual to be diagnosed, the person must first be seen by a trained mental health specialist. And one of such person is a psychologist. The purpose of the psychologist is to do psychological evaluation, look at the person's life, the person's engagement with other people, interaction, do a comparative review of the person's medical record, interview the person, talk to family members, and then at the end, based on the statistical manual, it's a manual, is psychological evaluation tools that we use in mental health to determine, where the person falls before a diagnosis is assigned. So the psychologist will do all of the evaluation, review the records to make sure that the problem the individual has is not medical. And after all of the medical conditions are ruled out, and if this person is still struggling with this problem, can get along with people, the person has lost interest in almost everything, the person is feeling hopeless, the person feels that he or she has little or no authority over his or her situation, then the person can be diagnosed. What I have just given you are all symptoms of depression. So you can be diagnosed by a psychologist. You can also be diagnosed by a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is another mental health professional that has the ability to prescribe medication and mental health medication, and that also has the ability to diagnose as well. Depression can also be seen by other mental health specialists, such as clinical workers, clinical social workers like me. You don't go to see your primary doctor if you are having sleep difficulties because you lost your job 10 years ago and you're still struggling with, you know, loss and grief, chronic loss and grief. You need to talk to somebody who is in the business of mental health. If you got divorced, and it is very common in our community, some of our sisters, the gentlemen they brought to this country, walk away and they still are in the past. They just can't believe that, the person has moved on. That's what we call chronic depression. When you can't move on, you can't move forward, you just can't accept. You're always angry. You're still living in the past thinking that the individual is going to come back, but the person has moved on. You lost a job 10 years ago. Let's assume that you used to work for the Liberia Broadcasting System as Director General. And Mr. Weah came and let you go. But you just can't imagine that you're out of job today. You're no longer Director General. And as a result of that, your ability to engage with people, to function, to interact, everything has shattered on you. You're finding it difficult to sleep. You're not eating well. You pay little or no attention to your personal hygiene. You are depressed. So when you have these kind of problems, and you are saying by somebody like us, we look at our manual, we talk to you, we talk to your family members, we look at your medical records, we can give you a diagnosis. So before an individual is diagnosed, the problem must have existed for more than 6 months. There's what we call temporary, stresses. You went to a party, someone says something to you, and then that made you angry, you got upset. That's not enough for you to be diagnosed. Uh, 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 um, Say you had another situation that is temporary. Say, like people who use substances when they go through withdrawal, especially the opioid, fentanyl, oxycodone, Percocet, and all of these are prescribed medications. People who are addicted to those substances, when they go through withdrawal, which is a form of illness, that can come along with some depression, but that's not enough to to uh, to diagnose someone with depression. When the person is under the influence of substance, when the substance is out of the person's system, the person will be able to function normally. But I'm talking about under normal condition. Maybe you lost your husband of 25 years. When you wake up in the morning, everywhere you look, there are what? Things that you see that makes you to think about your husband. Some people in some families, when situations like that happen, what do? They sell the property because they don't want to keep remembering, you know. So if you are dealing with this and is making it difficult for you to cope, this level of loss and grief that makes it difficult for you to cope, and that begin to interfere with your functioning. It makes it difficult for you to go to work. It makes it difficult for you to get regular shower. It makes it difficult for you to eat well. It makes it difficult for you to sleep well. And you're paying little no attention to your personal outlook. You are depressed. Now, the question someone may want to ask, so well, Mr. Sandy, we saw your flyer, or we saw your promo that talked about mental health, depression. the likelihood of it impacting the 2023 election. Yes, there's some relationship here. There are people in Liberia today, because of their inability to fend for themselves, to fend for their families. That inability is so limited, or they don't have the means. A good number of our people have lost interest, not because they don't like Liberia, but you know why? The first law of nature is what? Self-preservation. If I'm not okay, my own friend and brother Volcano Shelton, if I'm not okay, I'm not going to take the phone to call Volcano. I need to make sure that I'm okay first before I start looking out for Volcano Shelton. I have to be okay first before I start even thinking about my kids. So when those things are not happening in your life as a result of the prevailing political situation in the country, you get depressed. And a good number of our people who find themselves in situations like that have gotten to the point that, hey, I think this election, I'm going to pay little or no attention. I don't care who becomes president of Liberia. I don't care who becomes senator, because these people are not doing anything for me. And when that happens in the society, that impacts the ability of that society to thrive. That's why we will be having the discussion today and at the same time relating it to the politics of today. Now, let's come back again to a further discussion on depression. As I told you earlier, depression is a psychological problem. It's a stressor that makes it difficult for you to coexist with people. You lose interest in everything. Your friends invite you to functions. You say, I don't want to be bothered. Your friend Moses Sandy calls you. You see, you recognize the number. You don't answer your number. You don't answer the phone. And even if you answer the phone, you come up angry. Oh, my man, why are you calling me? You're displacing your anger on Moses Sandy for no reason. You're blaming everybody. You get to the point where you begin to see yourself as a burden to society, as a burden to your family. You feel unloved. Nobody cares for you. Nobody cares about you. Then you start to isolate. You withdraw from everything. You're home. You don't interact with your family. Your children say, hey, Dad, yeah, okay, I'm okay. You don't want to be bothered with them. You're always in your room. You want to stay in bed all day. You don't want to work because you have lost interest. You were once a social person. You were very vibrant in the community. You were interacting with almost everybody, having real great time. But that interest gone out of the window. You have become hopeless. That's why in Liberian parlance we call what? Broken heart, frustration. You are stressed. You need help. There are people who continue to struggle with this problem. Some people just can't deal with what? Death. Someone dies. When someone dies, we go through stages. First is what? Denial. When a relative dies, no one wants to hear that news. Oh man, I just got information that your mom or one of your uncles just called. Oh, your mom just passed. I said, no. I don't want to hear that. You get angry. The next thing is what? Isolation. You just lost your mom. You withdraw. The next thing is what? Anger. Why my mom? Why my mom? That's the third phase of loss and grief. The anger. Then you go to what we call bargaining. Why this has to be my mom? Why not me? What could I have done to save my mom? You're asking yourself all these questions. Then you move on to the phase of what? Depression. The extreme sadness that comes after someone dies. After the person is buried, months goes by, then you get to the level of what we call acceptance. You know that death is inevitable. Or you just got divorced. You couldn't believe that you can no longer be with your partner. You get to the point of what? Acceptance. People who get to the level of acceptance, they accept that, hey, this person has moved on. I will move on and I will begin to rebuild my life. But for those who refuse to accept the reality that the situation that they are dealing with is irreversible, they remain stuck. And when that happens to you, you are depressed. Now, how do we help individuals? Before we even go there, let me say this. When we speak of depression, it's not a Western problem. Depression is a mental health problem that affects all peoples of the world. There are a lot of people in America that struggle with depression. A lot of people in Europe. You go to Africa, you go to Liberia. The problem is pervasive. It means that it's broad based. It affects all peoples of the world. It affects all genders, male and female. It affects children. It affects young adults and also affect what? Older people. So it is a pervasive problem. Now, if someone struggles with this problem and the person doesn't get the help he or she needs, then what happens? There are a couple of reasons why we need to pay keen attention to individuals. And for some of us, before I even tell you the implications, let me just advise some of you who have children, some of you who are married, some of you who are managers. It's important to take note of this. If you're going to be a good dad, a good wife, you got to be observant. If you have a husband who comes on, this guy was so vibrant, he was engaging with everybody, but now your husband isolates for no reason, he's angry for no reason. The both of you are, or he's not getting along with no one in the home. He's not attending to his personal hygiene. He's not taking shower. He's not grooming himself. He looks real bad off. That's a symptom of depression. You need to take note of that. I know in our community, when people have this problem, when you say mental health, they get upset with you. They think that you're telling them that they are insane. No. This would be my advice to you. Tell your partner, tell your wife, tell your husband, whatever. Or even if this person is one of your employees, say, look, I noticed that in recent times, you've not been getting along. You have withdrawn a lot. You're just by yourself. You know why? I would recommend that you talk to a specialist. In the Western world, you can tell the person, I would recommend that you see a mental health specialist. I would recommend that you see a therapist, or recommend that you see a clinical social worker, whatever. The person will easily buy into that. But in our environment, our definition of mental health is quite different. It's insanity. And you don't want nobody flipping tables on you because now the person is wrongly interpreting that, or you say the person is mentally sick. So tell the person, don't you think it would make a lot of sense that you talk to somebody and let the person go in and seek help? Okay, that's how we deal with this problem. So when the person goes in, the person will be evaluated. Whoever the evaluator will be, or the psychologist, the psychiatrist, the clinical mental specialist will be. That person will also talk to other family members. They will talk to other individuals that are involved in the person's life. They also talk to the person to have a profound understanding of the person's situation before diagnosing the individual. That's how it works. That's what we do. This is what I'm doing tonight is what I do 24/7. Sit and talk to people and get paid. Okay? So I'm telling you tonight, this is free. I'm giving you a free service, but I think it is important that we begin to have this discussion to help our people understand some of the psychological challenges that they are struggling with. So, as I was saying earlier, if you are a manager, you notice that one of your staff has just become unnecessarily unreasonable. You want to help that person to seek help. In the home, if you notice that one of your kids just not getting along with nobody, not eating for months, losing weight, undisciplined, loss of weight, as a good dad, as a good mom, as a good guardian, it will be important to start having a conversation. Ask some question. I notice that your weight is declining. I noticed that you were hanging out with your friends, but this time you don't. Is there anything I can do to help you? That's how it works. Intervene. It is better to intervene earlier than to wait. Now, what happens if we do not intervene? The implications are profoundly huge. When someone is depressed and that person is not given the help he or she needs, the person becomes suicidal. Meaning the person starts having the thought of wanting to kill him or herself. When someone feels hopeless, when someone feels powerless, when someone feels that no one cares about him or him or her, when someone feels that he or she is a burden to society, this is when you're going to hear, and I want you guys to take note of this. Sometimes you will hear some of our people say, I can no longer deal with this. This is over with. When someone is continuously telling you that, that person is becoming suicidal. Something I didn't talk about earlier. It's very important. If someone has a legal issue that he or she has gotten to the point of realizing that, hey, this case is not solvable. It is beyond my control. And the person feels powerless. They assume that someone is dealing with a legal issue and the person runs the risk of serving 25 years in prison. And the person is now 60. Do you know what it means to go to prison for 25 years? That's the time it's good to keep a closer watch on that person. Because the person will become suicidal. The person will get depressed. This person was doing good, financially stable. And now the person found his or herself in a situation that if the matter goes against him or her, he or she runs the risk of going to prison for years. That person may commit suicide. A woman who was happily married, the husband decided to walk away. And the woman just refused to accept that the gentleman has walked away. And she isolates. Let's assume that she went to Africa and brought this gentleman to the United States. And now she's 60. The gentleman is 40. He has moved on. He has started a new life. She may say, well, you know what? I can't deal with this anymore. The person will stop talking to people, will stop eating. And that can lead to what? Suicidal ideation. That is when the person start thinking about, well, it's better that I just die. I am 60 now. No man wants to deal with me anymore. I'm an old woman. I can't handle this. Statistics shows that in the United States, to tell you how perversive suicide is in this country, over 60,000 phone calls the VA, that's the Veteran Administration, receives from soldiers, from individuals who serve in the U.S. military on an annual basis. I see people every day who struggle with this problem. And they tell you, I just can't do with this anymore. Some tend to what? Substance use as a coping mechanism. Because when the person is under the influence of the substance, then the problem goes away temporarily. If the person problem is loss of job, and this person has not been able to get one job, and the person is so depressed, the person decides to become an addict to what? Start using heroin. Heroin is a painkiller, but it's illegal drugs, which is very addictive. But what happens when the person takes that? That helps to manage the problem of depression temporarily. And when the high goes, as they say in the addiction world, then the problem reappears. And what the person does, the person goes looking for it. That's what we call craving. That's how some people deal with this problem. Some people, what do? They overdose. They took milk pills and die. And you wondering, say, oh, I just talked to him yesterday and he's dead this morning. Some will use weapons. Some will use guns. Some will use knives. Some even become what? Homicidal. They start thinking about wanting to kill other people. And some even end up killing other people. Take, for example, you were 50. You went to Liberia. You brought this young guy who was 35. He came here after 2, 3 years. He walked away. He got into another relationship. He divorced you. Now you're 50. You're approaching your 60s. And the young man is moving on with his life. That's when people begin to concoct all evil plans. Some have even executed those plans. They killed other people because of depression. Depression is a serious mental health problem. We make plans for the future. Let me help you understand this subject matter better. We plan for the future. We plan for vacation. We take annual vacation. We travel. We buy expensive cars. We buy expensive homes. We change jobs when our serotonin is up, when our mood level is up. When your mood level goes this way, you are depressed. When I talk about mood, I'm talking about the feeling that you get, the highs and the low, to be able to function well, to get along with people, to play, to socialize. Your mood level has to be up. When yours drop to the bottom, that's extreme sadness. And if you struggle with extreme sadness for more than 6 months, you are depressed. That's what we call clinical depression. You need help. We need to help you. Look around. Let me bring you home. Look around Monrovia. Don't you see a lot of depressed people in the country? Have you thought about that? Guys who were prominent people in self administration. Today they are beggars. Do you think those people are happy? They may not be saying it. Depression is a silent killer. Can you imagine the guys who were what? Uh, 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 Combatants during the Civil War, the child soldiers that were abused. A good number of them. They lost their limbs. They lost their independence. Those people are depressed. They need help. Now, how do we solve this problem? There are a couple of things that we can do. When an individual is depressed, that person needs help. And how do we treat it? First, as I said earlier, the person has to be diagnosed. That is, the person goes see a mental health specialist. And having reviewed the medical records and all the medical condition, everything ruled out, and it is established that the person problem is psychological, we have two interventions. We have medication management. And the medication management is when psychiatry prescribe for you what we call antidepressant. Antidepressants are medications that are used to help individuals who are depressed. Have you ever heard about the medication Zoloft, Prozac, Abilify, Luvox, Paciva? These are antidepressants medication. The purpose of this medication is to increase your serotonin, to lift your mood, increase your mood, so that you will be able to function. Because when you are depressed, it means that your serotonin has decreased. Your mood has dropped. In order to function well, what needs to happen? Our mood has to be up. It has to be. That's when we make all the big plans. When your mood is at this level, you make no plan. That's when you prefer death over what? Human existence. You prefer death over life. That's when you say to yourself, I cannot deal with this anymore. It's better being dead than living, because your mood level has dropped. So, in order to increase or elevate your mood level, your psychiatrist will prescribe for you antidepressant medications. Zoloft, Luvos, Paciva, Prozac, and the list goes on. When you start taking these medications, combined with what we call psychotherapy or talk therapy, like what I'm doing right now, it's talk therapy. I'm having a conversation with you. I'm teaching you things that you need to do to help yourself when you find yourself in a situation like this. While you're taking your medication, these are some of the things that you need to do. One, do not isolate yourself. Stress is part of life. There's no life without stress. We all have various types of stress. Some people, their problem could be what? Marriage. Some people, their problem could be what? Loss of jobs. Some people, their problem could be what? Foreclosure. They bought homes that they just couldn't afford to keep up with the mortgage. Some people, their problem could be what? Repossession of what? Of their vehicles. Some people, it could be what? Bullying. And let me emphasize this. Bullying. Name calling. And this is very, very common in our community. A lot of us, we bully other people. We say negative things about them. We vilify them. And when you do that to someone continuously, that can lead to clinical depression because the person will begin to feel what? Unloved, unwanted. That's not good. Some of us will have children. Let me tell you now. Stop calling your kids names. Oh, you're a flunky, man. You're nobody. You are the least of my children. I don't even know why I hire you. And that kid is going to grow up thinking that, well, my dad said or my mommy said, I won't be nobody. I'm a nobody. I'm a no entity. And what our child will do? The child will start feeling unloved. The child will start feeling unloved. And if that person is not giving, or if that child is not giving the help he or she needs, he or she may end up committing suicide. So please stop the name calling. Some of you go around, oh, my man, my man, he just lost a job. Oh yeah, my man, I told you, man. That man not going to stay there for some time. That man, and you just go around gossiping, putting your friends down. That's not good. Some of you have PhDs in gossip. Don't do that. Stop putting other people down. When you do that continuously, you are indirectly contributing to the person's psychological problem. Because when people feel unwanted, they disengage. So I'm saying to you, how do you fight this problem? Do not isolate yourself. No matter what your problem is, remain engaged. Talk to people. When you feel stressed out, one of the most effective coping skills is talk therapy. Call a friend. Call one of your siblings. Call one of your kids who listen to you, who believes in you. Have a conversation. Let it out. Get it off your chest. Oh man, look. Or if you are married, I come on here, Mara, man. Look, man, I don't like this job, man. My supervisor is rather stressing me out. I'll sit and talk about it. That's how you handle this problem. Another thing, take some time. If you'd like to listen to music, listen to music. Find some time to relax. Relaxation techniques, very effective. You like to exercise? Exercise. Go to the gym. In Delaware, we have our first old timer sports association on Saturdays when the guys are practicing. Go and join the team. You like to play basketball? Do it. Do something to burn some calories. Keep yourself busy. If you keep yourself busy, that will take away the sadness. But once you start to isolate and you begin to feel unloved, you see yourself as a burden, your problem will exacerbate. Don't allow that to happen. I know death is painful if you lost a relative of yours. It's very painful. But you have to learn to cope. Death is part of human existence. I'm not saying that when someone dies or when someone loses a very important person, he or she should not grieve, but do not allow your grieving to interfere with your daily functioning. When that happens, you yourself will end up dying too. So you need to exercise, you need to engage, you need to socialize, talk to people. If you are on your medication, take your medication, your antidepressant. See your psychiatrist on a regular basis. For those of you who have marital problems, if you need to go in to see, to seek a family therapist, do that. Sit and talk about it. Sit and talk about it. Don't isolate yourself. Isolation is not good. It depresses you further. You got to remain connected. That's how you can be this. Manage time wisely. Some of us, we do not know how to manage time. That can also stress us. If you know you need to be to work 10 o'clock and you live in Delaware, you work in Philadelphia, because you're not going to work on time consistently, you run the risk of losing your job, you need to make adjustment in your schedule. Time management is critical. That will help to minimize your stressor. You must have a schedule in your life. You have to know if your job interview in Philadelphia is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, make sure you take notation. Most interviewers expect you to be there 15 minutes to the time. You can live in Dover and you have a job interview in Philadelphia at 1 o'clock and you want to leave or Dover at 12. You're going to run late. That will stress you further. And when these things happen to you on a consistent basis, you get depressed. So time management is critical. Exercise. Not only playing soccer, you like to walk, take a walk. Walk your dog. Do your lawn. Do some chores at home. Burn some calories. That's how you manage this problem. You have to make yourself happy. You got to feel happy. Do not allow any situation to define you. That's how you manage this problem. A lot of us, that's a problem that we have. And now let me pause to give you my number, if just in case you want to be a part of this discussion. I want to give you the opportunity to call in, share with me your thoughts, contribute to the discussion, and let's make this discussion tonight a family discussion. My number is 302 494 4688. Call and let's be a part of this discussion. Call and contribute. This is the issues room where we discuss the contemporary issues of the day. And let me let you know, my co-host, my partner, my friend and brother, career broadcast journalist Fulcano Shelton is currently away. I know he's monitoring. Maybe he may call in tonight to be a part of the show, to contribute to the discussion. That would be great. But I just want to let you know that Mr. Shelton is currently away. And I also want to encourage every one of you out there to call in and be a part of this show. Call and share your stories. Let's listen to you. That is important. Let's talk about it. It's very, very important that we talk about, these little stuff that are affecting our lives in our various communities. There were guys before Mr. Weah became president. They were diehard supporters of the CDC. And today, they can't even come closer to Mr. Weah's vehicles because George Weah doesn't want to see them. Do you think those people are happy? Of course they are depressed. Some were craving to be cabinet ministers. Some wanted senior positions in the government. And George Weah chose to look the other way. But hey, do not allow that to take control of your life. There's no life without stress. I was talking to you. I'm not a saint. I have my own psychological problem, but I do not allow challenges to overwhelm me. We all need to learn to take control of our situation. That's the best thing we can do. We have to learn to take control of our situation. If you are a religious person, let me say the prayer is also helpful. Pray about it. It's very, very effective. It's an effective coping skill for dealing with issues of depression. Pray about it. You're part of the men's group? Go and participate in the men's group. The women's group? Go and be a part of the women's group. You cannot be an island. You have to interact, especially when you are stressed. That's when it's important to interact. Because when you isolate, your situation exacerbates. And that's when you start having suicidal ideation. You start thinking about wanting to kill yourself. And some people even start making plans. Some will go purchase a weapon. Some will decide to use what pills. Some drink what acid. Some use other chemicals to kill themselves. People who commit suicide do so because of what? Clinical depression. Go and do your research. No one who commits suicide does so because he or she was happy. No. Anyone who commits a suicide did so because he or she was depressed. The person may not have been saying it, but the person may have been planning it. The person may have been overwhelmed with his or her situation. And the person got to the point that he or she just couldn't deal with it anymore and decided to end his or her life. Do you know how many women in Liberia over the years that took their lives as a result of marital problems? Do you know how many men in Liberia? Do you know how many men in Africa? Do you know how many men in the great United States that have and continue to take their lives because of psychological problems? The numbers are overwhelming. This is a global problem. Depression is not unique to Africans. It's not unique to Caucasians. Depression is not unique to Asians. It affects all peoples of the world. Please, I want to advise you, do not go to see your primary doctor when you are having sleep difficulties. Yeah, there could be some medical problems. So sometimes it's good to see whether your problem is medical. In mental health, we treat what they call disorder, means psychological. The person is stressed. Medical doctors, what do? They treat diseases, diabetes, cancer. These are examples of what? Diseases. Bipolar disorder, depression, schizophrenia. These are mental health problems. PTSD is another mental health problem. So you cannot be struggling with depression. You cannot be struggling with issues of abuse. You cannot be struggling with issues of PTSD and you go to see your primary doctor. That's the wrong person you're going to. For us Africans, when people talk about mental health, our perspectives are just quite different. I know very soon we're going to be wrapping this show, and let me take it to the level of the election. 2023, come October the 10th, October 10th, 2023 will be a moment of decision in Liberia. Following the election, some of us will get depressed. We'll get seriously depressed because the candidates that we are supporting, some of those candidates may not succeed in winning. Some of us who are eyeing legislative seats and we are making a lot of investment into it, the people will. Oh, we got a phone call coming in from our man Eruptible. Mr. Shelton, welcome to the Issues Room. Are you there, Mr. Shelton?
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see you going solo tonight and holding your grounds. Sorry I couldn't be here with you tonight because of uh, some extraordinary engagements. But anyhow, it's good to see you. But I like the last part you put on this conversation that Spain has to do with thousands of Liberians will be depressed at the end of our elections. There are
Obviously.
many people in the thousands who have begun to believe in who they believe in. And quite certainly, when the ballots are counted and the results declared, you can imagine how many people, and I will be of no exception because you and I know exactly.
You're not been talking about this, Mr. Shelton.
Yes, yes, and we know exactly where we want our country to head. But I will be prepared if I have to seek intervention to be able to sustain. I will have to, because then we have to be depressed for another 6 years, and that's a long time of depression. But I'm telling you, honestly, great conversation, and there's no way you can divorce the fact that depression is aligned with our elections,
Definitely.
because you talked about the disenfranchised folks who felt connected to we are and how close they were, and he turned his back on them, and now some of them are still having, to believe that, oh, wait a minute, it's the first term, let's give him the opportunity the second term. But if the man didn't give you water in the first term, I know he'll give you water the second term. But it's a serious stuff, Moses, and I think yes, actually, this conversation was unique
Yeah, thank
to
you.
tonight, and I think a lot of people who kind of tuned in learned a lot, and now at least some folks who feel that way can begin to see it from a perspective of being sick, and that they need clinical, medical, and therapeutic interventions to help them, get a decent life.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Mr. Shelton, for calling in, for your thoughts. We really appreciate that. Before you go, let me just say this. I definitely agree with the points you made. Like I said earlier, you and I know, come October, when no results are released, a lot of us will go into withdrawal.
Like, I can imagine some of the watch you go into withdrawal. Uh, I can imagine Fortune when you go into withdrawal. I can imagine, you know, and sometimes we all say it doesn't matter who wins, but what matters is where our country go.
I'm
And
telling you.
again, if George Weah can use the next 6 years, if we were to win the elections and said, listen, I screw up the first 6 years, I can, rebound, I can do well by the people, then so be it. Because bottom line, when you look at the configuration of everything right now, it's depressing in
Ve-
itself.
Very
Just looking
depressing.
at opposition and ruling party is all depressing. So as a result, there is nothing so tangible, you can see the vivaciousness and vitality in the whole process to say, wait a minute, let's go chanting. I think the incumbent is chanting more than the opposition who really want it.
Yeah,
And that's depressing for you. That's depressing for me. That's depressing for many, 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 many Liberians. And so we're just gonna be continuing to talk about conversations like these, whole kind of topics like these, so that we can find some leverage in terms of enlightening our people to begin to rethink. Because, of course, again, as I said, depression is going to be the hallmark of the day at the end of our elections, and it's critical. It's
yeah.
critical.
hmm And we really need to pay keen attention to this because on an annual basis, you have thousands of people dying as a result of suicide. And we don't want to see that happening in our country following the election. That's why everything must be done to make sure that we handle our election with care and that our people get the benefit for what they are investing into. Because politicians who are spending thousands of dollars, Volcano, a good number of them will get depressed.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the guys who are coming from abroad and going to declare that they desire to be president, the hard money they work for, whether they work hard for it, whether they got a hook or crook, no matter the circumstance, when they lose those monies out there, they will definitely be depressed. And we've seen it. Some folks who ran in the Ellen era, they've all disappeared, and have not been able to rebound. So, of course, yes, getting into the electoral process costs a lot. It's a lot of money involved, a lot of your time, your energy, your sweat. I mean, it's just too much. And so when you lose everything, of course, it becomes serious depression. But let's hope for the best, Moses. Thank you so much for taking the call. We'll be reconvening on Friday, I believe. Rather Tuesday, with another, important conversation. But thank you so much. You hanging there. Uh, when will the show be over?
We should be wrapping up very soon. And,
Oh,
we should be wrapping up maybe 8:20.
okay.
Yeah, we should be wrapping up very soon. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for calling in. I'm sorry if we took you away from your special time, but I would really appreciate a phone call.
No, no, this is a very important topic, and it was important that I laid my little 2 cents to it, and
Yeah,
and I think I would implore those folks who are watching tonight to join in and add their contribution. Of course, some folks are throwing chats in the chat room, but
yeah,
in the same token, we'd like to hear from folks, especially Amma Freeman,
yeah,
who is a first hander of the situation. If he can call tonight, maybe you and he could hang out until closing, because
yeah.
he has a lot of experience. He went through the counseling piece and is still, I believe, going through it. So he will be an expert, witness to the topic. But thank you again, and you have a good night.
You do the same. Thank you. Yeah, so we just heard from Mr. Volcano Shelton, my friend and brother, one of the brains behind the issues room. He called to contribute to the discussion. We are still taking phone calls. We're going to be up to 8:20, 8:30 max discussing this. It's very, very important that you be a part of the show tonight. Call, uh, let it out. That's how you deal with this problem. When you are dealing with psychological problem, it is very important to talk about it. That's one of the effective coping skill. Don't hold it in. The more you hold it in, the further you get depressed. And when you are depressed and you can no longer deal with it, that's when you begin to feel what? Hopeless. And hopelessness leads to what? Suicidal ideation. After suicidal ideation, you start formulating strategies how to execute your plan. Most people end up, you know, getting lethal weapons to kill themselves. Like Volcano said earlier, 2023, come October, this election is going to be a defining moment for the people of Liberia. Can you imagine individuals who will be traveling from abroad, going to Liberia, declaring their intentions for legislative seats? Some of them may end up selling their properties. Some of them may take equity loan, meaning that they got some money in their properties. They take loan, go to Liberia, declare their intention, and blow the entire money. Lost the election. They come back to the United States, and the home goes into foreclosure. Isn't that depressing? Yeah. That's why we said 2023, we have to do everything possible to make this thing here work. And you have to know how to handle this well. You cannot live abroad for 20 years, 25 years, and you go and people tell you, oh, well, we can petition you. They don't know you. Those people don't know you. Be smart. Don't let the people fool you and come and say, oh, well, we can assemble people to petition you. Those people don't know you. They won't vote for you. They want your money. I know someone will say, well, you off topic. No, I'm discussing the in relationship to the topic we're having tonight. Depression. Why invest thousands of dollars and allow that to go to waste? Why deplete your bank account and throw your money behind a candidate? The candidate wins and looks the other way. We saw that in 2018 when Mr. Weah ascended the presidency. I know individuals who worked very hard in championing the cause of the CDC. When Mr. Weah won the presidency, some of those people went to Liberia They were never privileged to meet with Mr. Weir, having spent thousands of dollars. That's very stressful. Very stressful. But hey, regardless of whatever your situation is, do not allow any situation to define you. What do I mean about that? You got to be resilient. You got to bounce back. Losing a job, that's not enough for you to commit a suicide. No. Someone walking away from the marriage, that's not enough for you to take your life. No. Life, human life is very precious. You got to bounce back. Say to yourself, I can do it. Have some positive affirmation in your life. This too shall come to pass. That's what you say when you are faced with psychological problem. I can do it. I am not a failure. No, I am not a failure. You got to believe in yourself. If you allow yourself to get overwhelmed by situations, when you allow yourself to get to the point of hopelessness, that can lead to low self-esteem. And that's what happens when people are severely depressed. When you have low self-esteem, it means that you have little or no confidence in yourself. You don't see yourself as anybody. You see yourself as worthless, unloved, unlikable. Do not allow that. When you are faced with situation, talk to a professional. You don't have to go, in Liberia, people who are Muslim, that's what we call the Kamon or the Mole man. Don't go see no Mole man. Don't go to no Juju man. These are psychological problems. You don't need no Juju man to take your money. Figure out what makes us different as adults from children is our ability to take control of our situation. We need to drive our life. It is our situation. Identify whatever your problem is and begin to tap into resources. Identify solution. If your problem is medical, let's assume that you have a chronic illness and you see your health declining consistently. It is what it is. That's not enough for you to commit suicide. No. You have no control over that. You were a bank manager and you lost your job. Does that mean that everything in your life has crumbled? Of course not. Of course not. Say to yourself, I can do it. If you will go to Wawa and start making sandwiches for people, do that. You have a life to live. When you allow situations to define you, when you allow yourself to get overwhelmed, that leads to clinical depression. And if that is not handled, you end up committing suicide. If your situation is not well addressed, you end up what? Murdering other people. That's when you start having the thought of wanting to kill others. We call that what? Homicidal thought. You can do it. You brought him to America. Today he's doing good. And he said he doesn't want to be bothered with you. Okay. It is what it is. But does that mean that you have no life to live? Of course not. You have a life. Go and see your psychologist. Go and seek help if you need help. You need to do that. Do not allow any situation to define you. Don't. Do not allow any situation to define you. You can do it. You did it before and you can do it again. You were supervisor in the department and they let you go. Does that mean that everything in your life has crumbled? Of course not. Wake up in the morning. Go and do your exercise, man. You like to listen to music? Listen to music. Hang around with your friends. Talk to your kids. Talk to your wife. Talk to your significant other. Elevate your life. Don't let things to crumble on you. When you allow things to crumble on you, when you see yourself as a failure and that happen consistently, you are depressed. Do not allow that to happen to you. And don't forget now, you want to be a part of the discussion tonight? Call in. The call in number is 302 494 4688. I know in our community, a lot of us don't like to share, but I'm encouraging you. This is free counseling service I'm providing tonight. I get paid for doing this. So I'm doing it free for you tonight, you know? So you need to take advantage of this opportunity. This is what I do for a living. I'm a master's level clinician, a licensed social worker, clinical social worker. So I know exactly what I'm telling you about. I know the subject matter and I know what I am discussing. You can do it. Don't allow any situation to define you. Yeah, you're the gentleman. You did it for 10 years. But he said he did not want to be bothered with you. So what? Does that mean you should commit suicide? Does that mean that everything in your life has come to an end? Of course not. You got to get back to the drawing table and begin to rebuild your life. If you need to be seen by a psychiatrist for you to get some antidepressant medication, do that. And then start doing some of those, utilizing some of those coping skills. Remaining engaged, keeping yourself busy. You know what? That's one thing that I want to say for most of our people. In our community, a lot of us like to keep ourselves busy. And that's one of the effective coping skills for dealing with issue of depression. You got to keep yourself busy. You don't want to stay in bed all day watching television. That's not enough. Because when people are severely depressed, they just lose interest in everything. Don't even want to shower. The lady would do her hair on a regular basis. She will stop doing her hair. When she's going out, she will no longer be sharp. Because now she has gotten to the point that she's beginning to feel that, hey, I don't care. I am who I am. No, first impression matters a lot. You got to attend to your personal outlook. It matters a lot. So not because the gentleman walk away, it means that you're going to allow everything to crumble on you. No, don't do that. Maintain your health. Maintain your physical health. Maintain your mental health. You need help? Go in and talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. Some of you that are in our community that are indirectly contributing to the propagation of hate messages against other people that make them to feel terrible about themselves. You need to stop that. You need to stop bullying people. You bully people, you call their names. You are indirectly undermining the health and stability of those people. Don't do that. Some people may not say anything. And people who refuse to speak out are the ones who have difficulties managing this problem. I want to appeal to you. Please. We got the next 10 minutes to be out of here. I want to appeal to you. Please. Stop doing that. Stop tearing down people for no justifiable reason. It's not good. It's not good. And I would like to wrap up by shifting again to 2023, the election. I can tell you the outcome of the election 2023 will impact the lives of people in Liberia in various forms and shapes. A lot of people will be happy. A lot of people will have job opportunities. A lot of people will be re-elected in the legislature. A lot of people will also lose their job because the next administration that will come in may not want to retain them. And it is also likely that Mr. Weah may win the presidency. And that may lead to what? Frustration or depression amongst individuals who have hope of winning the presidency. It is also likely that Mr. Weah may lose the presidency. So then what do you think going to happen to Nathaniel McGill, Samuel Tue, and all the other big guys in the government? They wake up one morning, George Weah is no longer president. So then the future becomes what? The future will be in the balance. Uncertain. They will have uncertain future. Because whoever wins the presidency will have the right to decide who stays or who doesn't stay. But losing government job, that does not in any way mean that everything in your life has come to an end. No. Do not allow any situation to hold you down. Don't. Take the phone calls. Talk to your friends. Go to men's meeting, women's meeting. Socialize. Yeah. That's how you deal with this problem. If you're on medication, take your medication as prescribed. Take your antidepressants, your Zoloft, your Prozac, your Luvox. Take them. Because when you take your medication, the purpose of that medication is to elevate your mood. It's to increase the serotonin, the chemical in the brain that regulates your mood between low and high. So when the serotonin decreases, your mood level drops. That's why they gave you antidepressant to help increase that. And then with that, with other coping skills that I have given you, exercising, that will help you. Okay, we got a phone call coming in. Hold, please. Hello?
Is it
The
Riverside
issues
Pro?
room?
Hello?
Yes. This is the
Yeah,
issues room.
this is Riverside Pro. I've been calling on the other number, but Fokana just gave me the number. How you doing, Moses?
Good, real. What's up, man? Welcome back home, man. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm sorry that I'm using a different number tonight. What's your
Yeah,
contribution?
thank you very much for this topic. This is very, very important. Depression depression kills. It leads to suicidal thoughts and a lot of things, Moses. This is very important. I really, really appreciate the topic that you brought on because this is something that affects our society. We see people walking around and you think they're normal, you think everything is okay for them. Look at this guy, Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
Look at his the kids space. These are millionaires, people who got money. And when we see them, we tell everything was okay with them. When Anthony Bourdain killed himself, we couldn't believe it. I was shocked. The whole world was shocked. So that's how much depression it's serious in our society. It has nothing to do with your finances. It has nothing to do with your status in society. It has nothing to do with your gender. It has nothing to do with your color. When depression is, it destroys your inner self. It leads to a lot of things. So this is very, very important. I wish we could have this kind of discussion more often to be able to conscientize our people about the effect of depression in our society. Thank you very much, Moses. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Real. What's up, bro? It was a pleasure talking to you, and welcome to the issues room. Your contribution to it, is very meaningful. I really appreciate the time you took to be a part of this discussion. Yeah, this is what we need to do for our people. Sometimes we need to shift the discussion. Yeah. So it is good that we had Riverside Pro on the show tonight. And we have the next 2 minutes to be out of here. If you want to be a part of discussion, just call. You can be the last caller. We can take you for the next 1 minute or so you can contribute. But to wrap the discussion, I want you to take this with you. Whenever you feel down, whenever you feel stressed out, do not allow your situation to define you. If you allow your situation to define you, you will start feeling hopeless. And let me tell you, I said it earlier, let me reiterate that again. There's no life without stress. You can have all the money, you will still struggle with stress in different forms and shapes. Even world leaders struggle with stress, but the ability to navigate, to manage that is what makes us different. Some of us, we are not resilient. We allow ourselves to crumble so soon. No, don't do that. If your problem is that you just lost your home, of course, that's life. Your home went into a foreclosure. You're not afraid you will not be the last. If you have to go into a shelter and start rebuilding your life, so be it. You just lost your job and you lost your apartment, move into a shelter and begin to rebuild your life from there. Don't kill yourself. You find yourself in a legal issue. You run the risk of going to jail for 20 years. You run the risk of going to jail for 25 years, 30 years. That's not enough for you to take your life. No. He said he doesn't want to be with you anymore. Is that enough for you to take your life? No. Don't do that. If the person chooses to walk away accept the situation and move on. And so I want to say thanks to all of you, the many viewers out there. I want to say thanks for coming tonight. And I also want to say thanks to my friend and brother Volcano Shelton who called in. And that's how we're going to wrap this discussion. It was a pleasure being here. I know Tuesday we're going to come back strong with another discussion. Uh, there are going to be times that we come here and talk about other important and health issues, especially mental health issues that impact the lives of our people. And on behalf of the issues room, I want to say thanks to all of you. Um, the call for those of you that are out there viewing, I want to say thank you for coming. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you back on Tuesday. Once again, I am Moses Sandy, uh, your friend and brother, and one of the brains behind the issues room. Thank you for the opportunity. Enjoy your evening.